How many of you grew up watching Batman the cartoon? Okay, well, can you tell the difference from how Batman's portrayed now and then? I'll be sharing how Batman started out as a funny cartoon in the 60s to an evolved, serious crime stopper, where he beats down villains to get the information he needs. I loved Batman as a child. You know, I had probably every DC comic book that he was in, and I had every action figure of Batman you could probably think of. But as I got older, I realized that Batman is a lot different from when I grew up. I'm sure that most of us remember Batman growing up as a funny cartoon, where Robin was at his side making funny remarks about the situation that they're in. But in saying this, I'll be explaining who Batman is, how the character has changed, and how he is today. The first thing that I would like for you to know about Batman is how he became a crime stopper. Batman's real name is Bruce Wayne, but Bruce didn't just become Batman overnight. At a young age, Bruce watched his parents die when they were being mugged in an alley. But since then, he devoted his life to stopping crime with the help of his sidekick, Robin. Although Batman has no superpowers, but he is a high-level Olympic athlete, and he's one of the greatest detectives alive. He has a utility belt, and he's very handy when fighting criminals with it. And he also has several other gadgets, including the Batmobile. So now that you have an idea on who Batman is, I would like to tell you how the character has changed over the years. Here's kind of what I mean by how it was kind of like a comic. But growing up, I remember Batman as being really funny and humorous to watch over time, and I realized that Batman is not like that anymore. And Batman became very serious and dark, and where he shows no mercy towards the Joker and villains in Gotham. This dark Batman that we have now is a lot more modernized and is made for this generation. This is a picture from The Dark Knight, which is Christian Bale, and you can tell like it's not a comic anymore. It's more of like a real storyline and stuff like that. So this was a change that was made due to the ratings dropping from the old Batman. So they took off the whole look and inflicted this change by how Batman is portrayed today. Originally, he was the Batman, where he and Robin stopped crime together very easily and humorously. From the last movie that was made, The Dark Knight, which was the third movie revealed, was very suspenseful with a lot of violence, where Batman actually beats down villains, and where in the past, during the comic book days, Batman wasn't really as serious as he is today. Since I've shown you Batman has changed over the years, I'd like to explain how Batman is revealed today. Batman today has become a lot more serious since the 90s. Growing up, I remember Batman being funny to watch, and it was really fun. Robin was always cracking jokes and making me laugh, and where Batman really never had a sense of humor, but it was still fun to watch. Robin has been deleted from the scene, and Batman no longer has a sidekick. But ever since The Dark Knight was displayed everywhere in America, it has made a stamp on Batman as being way more serious than ever before. In summary, I've talked about who Batman is and how he has evolved as a character today. It seems to me, from the very beginning of Batman, it was really immature and childlike. But now, as I've gotten older, the character has gotten more mature and wiser and a lot more serious. The newer Batman, including the characters in the plot, are not as far-fetched as they used to be as well. So whether you missed the old comic Batman or you like the new series Batman, the only thing to do now is wait and see how the next Batman will be portrayed.
Oh, I'm sorry, I should have reminded people. David Cantor is supposed to do the written evaluation of that, and Denise was supposed to do the oral evaluation. Denise, what did you think?
I thought it was an interesting topic. He had his three main points, and he seemed like he organized it really. The only thing that was my thing, like, for his visuals, he could have done more. Like, I already know how Batman was. Like, he could have done, I don't know, maybe something different, but it was kind of hard because that's what he's talking about with Batman. So I was just a little bit iffy about that. But other than that, it was pretty good.
All right. There are two or three things that are really solid in the speech, and then there's some things that I think you need to work on a lot. Let's start with the good stuff. I like the organization. It's very easy to follow all the time you're speaking. You've got a good preview. You tell us what the purpose of your speech is. I like the fact that as you're moving from point to point, you have a little internal summary that tells us, kind of we're finished here, we're moving on to the next thing, and how they're related to each other. So the mechanics of the structure, I think you're doing a very good job on. Content is where you need the work. You're kind of reviewing ideas and reminding us of things that we might have in our memory, doing a couple of comparisons, but we don't get much detail on that. We don't have any analysis of it. Believe it or not, Batman as a character has been studied in universities. People write dissertations on this kind of stuff. There are books that are written on this. The evolution of the character has been covered by a lot of authorities and fans and those kinds of things, and we don't get any of that. We just kind of get your impression of how Batman has changed. And you keep referring to the cartoons that you're watching as a kid, and I have a vague recollection of the cartoon that you're talking about because I remember seeing it and watching it a little bit. What was the name of the original cartoon? I don't know.
Batman the Animation.
What was it?
Batman the Animation.
Yeah, Batman Animated or something like that. There was something like that, and it went on, and then it changed, and then there was another version of it, and so on and so forth. A lot of that. Of course, Batman, of course, has been around since the 1930s, and there's no discussion of anything prior to that. And so, to me, the animation cartoon that you're referring to, that was a huge change from what came before. That was a bigger change. And the movies that you guys grew up with the Michael Keaton Batman and Val Kilmer and those kinds of things, those were different from what came before also, and that might have been another contrast to do. I don't know that you told anybody in here anything that they didn't know already. And so I think you need to add a little bit more to it or make it more meaningful. You got close a couple of times when you're talking about how it's a new generation and people are looking, we've got a different group of people that are looking at things in a different way, and that's why Batman is reflected in this more violent or more dynamic or more angry way. Well, okay, that's an interesting sociological observation. Let's get some information about that. Let's talk about if that is in fact the case. I don't think Batman changed because the ratings went down. Batman would have gotten canceled if the ratings went down, and it certainly didn't change in the graphic novels as a consequence of the cartoon ratings. Because I think the biggest changes occurred first in the comic books and the graphic novel visualizations of Batman, and then that seeps down into the cartoons, and then the movies make some changes, and it all kind of evolves that way. And you don't quite get that. You just, like I said, it seems like it's got random observations about things. Not that they're uninteresting, but they aren't really adding much to our understanding of the subject. The organizational stuff, like I said, was really solid. I thought I liked the audience survey that you did at the beginning. That was fine. You do an okay job talking to the audience for the most part, and you seem like you're in control of what you're saying, but the content needs to be pushed up a lot. All right, thank you. And it was brief. It was like 4.5 minutes.